Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome into the Saturday edition on the YouTube channel. As everybody that's been following along with me, come on, guys, we're 13 weeks into the NFL season. I'm sure you guys know what we're going to be doing today. It's my weekly preview video. Today, obviously, I'll be recapping the Thursday night game, giving out my prospect encyclopedia player of Thursday night football, and then I'll be diving into the rest of the week's matchups, giving you guys my predictions on how I think this will go, and hopefully it'll be a lot better than last week. Last week was definitely my worst week of the season in game picks. But I'm still batting pretty good when you look at my season record. Maybe I should start posting that on these videos for you guys. I think I might have. I've been posting on my Twitter. I think I might have forgotten over the last few weeks. I gotta get back on top of that. The whole Thanksgiving break and everything has thrown me off. I've been working remotely this week. I will be going back into the office on Tuesday, so I'll be kind of getting back to a normal schedule for my real life, which you guys probably don't care about. You're probably here for the football news, so or knowledge or whatever you guys get from this. I appreciate you watching, so why don't I just go ahead and get into the episode, guys. The Thursday night game, the Cowboys did handle their business against the Saints 27-17. Definitely would have liked to see them put up a little bit more points, maybe 2 more points, so Cody could have hit the over on Thursday night, but it is what it is. The Cowboys handled their business. They got in and out of that matchup healthy. They didn't lose anybody. Like, the Cowboys are going to win the NFC East, right? So the Cowboys are a playoff team. No matter how the season goes, like, I don't really see the Washington football team, winning out the rest of their schedule and the Cowboys losing out, right? Like, that's really the only realistic thing you could see maybe happening, where the Cowboys could lose their lead on the division. So the Cowboys are a playoff team, and basically this is a team that has a lot to work on. Like, they got to figure out some things on their offense. It's very inconsistent at this point of the season, and their defense, they're just all about like highlight plays. They need to be more consistent at forcing 3 and outs and not letting teams drive on them like they do. But they have the next 4 games, right? They have the next 4 games to work things out as we close out the end of the season. So the Cowboys, to me, though, they are still a team where if they figure out the kinks, they just got DeMarcus Lawrence back. They could still go on a Super Bowl run, but they have to fix those issues. Otherwise, they will do nothing when it comes to the playoffs, when they face those upper echelon teams like the Cardinals, the Packers, and the Bucks, teams like that. So, but they still can can wreak havoc on the NFC. Like I said, if they can get everything fixed. On the Saints side, the Saints' lack of depth is caught up to them. This is one of the reasons why at the beginning of the season, I did my playoff predictions. I had the Saints finishing 4th in the division, mainly just because I didn't like their depth on the team. I thought if injuries like that has happened would happen to this team, things would fall apart, and their back end of the schedule is a lot tougher than what it was at the front end of the schedule. And how I kind of saw the season happening for the Saints is starting to kind of come true. They have a great defense especially against the rush, one of the better rush defenses, but your defense can only do so much, right? And the offense just, they lack a threat at the quarterback position. Alvin Kamara has been out of the lineup for the last 3 to 4 weeks. And then, they never got Michael Thomas back, and they've been missing their top tackles over the last couple of games. So, yeah, like, if you don't have depth and if you don't really have a legit quarterback that can overcome injuries to your offense, then you're not going to really win many games in this league. It's just being brutally honest. So I really don't have expectations for them. They're basically going to, be in. Don't get me wrong. Like, Sean Payton and the players, they're still like with the mindset, especially with the wild card in the NFC, it's kind of up for grabs at the moment. So yeah, like the Saints are probably sitting there like, all right, all we need to do is get things right and just win out the rest of the season, and we can close out a wild card spot. Definitely plausible. I kind of just don't see it happening just because I don't trust the offense. One little note to cap off the Saints. Taysom Hill, he suffered a mallet finger injury, kind of like Russell Wilson did earlier this season. Now, the report is he does not require surgery, and he's going to try to play through his injury. So, good luck with that. We saw his passes barely get past the 10-yard mark, so I don't know how they're going to deal with that if he can barely throw the football. That's for the guys that get paid millions of dollars to figure that out. Now, to go ahead and put a bow on Thursday Night Football, the Prospect Encyclopedia Player of Thursday night, I gotta go with the man that's basically already locked up the Defensive Rookie of the Year honors, the man that has put himself in Defensive Player of the Year honors with the way he's been playing. But that's Micah Parsons. The guy has been an absolute stud as a rookie. This past week, on Thursday night, he had the 5 tackles, 2 solo. He has 1 tackle for a loss, 1 sack. He had 2 quarterback hits. He was in coverage when that tip picked interception when the Saints were driving. Like, the guy is just an absolute stud, and now they get DeMarcus Lawrence back with how Micah's playing. They got those guys are going to form one of the best edge rushing tandems in the league, if not the best, with how Micah is playing right now. He can go back in coverage if you need him to. He's a versatile chess piece for this defense, and Dan Quinn has got the best out of Micah Parsons during his rookie year. Super impressed with the kid, and he's helped turn things around for that Dallas defense, and we'll see if he can, him and that defense can help close out, maybe going after a number 1 seed in the NFC if the Cardinals and Packers start to lose some games over the course of the next 5 weeks. So kudos to him. He's my Prospect Encyclopedia Player of Thursday Night Football. As you can see with this graphic, though, if you guys go ahead and go get it, the number 1 player gets a big in-depth report. That one was done by Jack Duspo. He did the Cowboys section. You just go to prospectencyclopedia.com to check it all out. Basically what it is, guys, is every single team has a top 22 player list. It's players that are from the last 3 NFL draft classes. They have to have less than 12 regular season starts or less entering the season. And so these are guys that, range from future stars like Micah Parsons to key role players to key special team guys on teams. So it's a great way you can learn about guys that maybe you didn't know about. Maybe now you kind of know about these guys, and now we're at this portion of the season. I still think it's a great product to have in your hands. So go to prospectencyclopedia.com to check it out. You order the entire PDF for $15. You can get individual team PDFs for $1. And then, like I always promote to the Buck section, which I wrote, you can check it out for free. If that impresses you and you want to go buy your favorite team's PDF or you want to go purchase the whole thing, you can go ahead and do that then. So again, go to prospectencyclopedia.com to check that out. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and move into the 1 p.m. games. We're going to start with, the Colts. They are heading down to Houston to face the Texans. Let's take a quick look at these injury reports for both teams. On the Colts side, these 3 players are questionable. DeForest Buckner with a knee and foot. He is expected to play. Jack Doyle with a knee, and then Andrew Sendejo with a calf. And then on the Texans side, their list is kind of long, so I got to go through this really quick. These 4 players are out. Danny Amendola with a knee, Terrence Brooks with a hamstring, Justin McCray with a concussion, and DeMarcus Walker with a hamstring. And then these number of players are questionable. Chris Conley with the illness, Brandon Cooks with the illness, David Johnson with the illness and thigh, Cole Toner with an illness, Jonathan Grenard with a foot, and Roy Lopez with an illness. So this is a matchup that will probably be pretty quick for me to go through with how I feel about how this matchup's going to turn out. You got the Colts coming off that big loss against the Bucs where they had the lead, they blew it. Once again, they blow a lead against a good team. It's just kind of frustrating from a fan perspective, and I'm sure from a team perspective, because they've had opportunities that with big leads against the Bucs, the Titans, and the Ravens. This team has shown they can go toe-to-toe with the best teams in the league. They just got to learn how to close out those games. And then with this matchup, I don't know if you guys remember, but earlier this year, the Ravens, when the Colts blew that lead against the Ravens in the 4th quarter, they played the Texans the following week. They took out all their anger about blowing that lead against the Ravens on the Texans, and they beat them 31-3. I'm kind of going with the same aspect that they're going to take all their anger about blowing that lead against the Bucs and take it out on the Texans once again. The Texans, obviously I know this matchup a little bit more in depth because I write for Colts Wire. I do a top 5 things to watch for, and I do my top 5 takeaways every week. Please go to coltswire.com to check out all my Colts, not only my Colts articles, but all the rest of my teammates' articles on that website. But really quick, the Texans, they are the second worst rushing defense. They give up the second most average yards. I think it's, if I remember, 135 yards a game. So this is a blow-up spot for Jonathan Taylor. I think Jonathan Taylor could potentially set some type of game rushing record tomorrow against the Texans. And then there's a deep history. T.Y. Hilton lights up the Houston Texans, not just like in general. When this game is played in Houston, T.Y. Hilton always seems to go off. The last 100-yard game that T.Y. Hilton had was actually last year in Week 13 in Houston. Yeah, he's probably due for a 100-yard game, so I think Ty has a big game. Taylor has a big game. I just think the offense goes out and balls out and puts this game out of reach. Now, for the Texans, if they're going to win this game, what they have to do is they have to force turnovers on defense, and then their offense has to play efficient football, and they have to put up some touchdowns to match with the Colts. Which, it could happen on any given Sunday, especially this year with how many upsets we have. But it's going to have to be a clean game from Tyrod Taylor, connecting with Brandon Cooks often, and then those guys turning over the ball and able to march down the field and put up some points. I just like I said, I think this is going to be a repeat of what we saw earlier this season. I think the Colts are going to take out all their anger and put it to the Texans. They've shown that they are pretty good at taking care of the teams they are supposed to beat. So I got the Colts winning a 35-17 win tomorrow. Moving on to this next matchup, we got the Minnesota Vikings heading to Detroit to face the Lions. Taking a look at the injury report for the Minnesota Vikings, these three players are out. Dalvin Cook with a shoulder, Christian Darrisaw with an ankle, and Cameron Bynum with his ankle. And then these three players are questionable. Anthony Barr with a knee and hamstring, Mackenzie Alexander with his ribs, and Eric Kendricks with his biceps. And then looking at the Lions side, these four players are out. Trey Flowers with a knee, Bobby Price with a shoulder, Jalen Reeves-Maybin with a shoulder, DeAndre Swift with his shoulder injury, and then these three players are questionable. Penei Sewell with a illness, Michael Brockers with a knee, and Matt Nelson with an ankle. So with this matchup, this will probably be another quick one. There's a lot of matchups this week. I feel pretty comfortable with the winners. There are a couple that it's going to be a coin flip for me, but with this matchup, I just think Minnesota's going to go in and handle their business. Alexander Mattison, he's proven that he could step in and fill in for Dalvin Cook, so I think they're going to lean on him in that running game. He's going to have himself a solid day, which should open up the play action for Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen. The Lions have one of the worst defenses in the league, especially in the secondary, because of all the injuries they've dealt with. So I think the Vikings offense is going to go out and ball out. I mean, the Lions defense, they don't have Trey Flowers. Michael Brockers is questionable. So with that being said, I think the Vikings offense is just going to go out. They're going to get like 3 to 4 touchdown drives, and they're going to be able to put this game out of reach at some point tomorrow. And then you flip sides of the ball. I mean, guys, it's the same thing I say with the Lions every single week. I say this on my top streamable defenses because you can always stream a defense against the Lions. The Lions offense is just nothing to be excited about because of Jared Goff. He's good for a turnover or two every single game. So then Penei Sewell is questionable with his illness. We'll see if he can play, but if he's out, that's going to allow that Vikings defense to heat up the pressure, get pressure on Jared Goff, and when you get pressure on him, he's either going to fumble the ball or he's going to force the ball out of his hands, and it's going to result in an interception. DeAndre Swift's out, so they're out of their playmaker, right? So it's T.J. Hawkinson. Jamal Williams will get his fair share of things. I like Jamal Williams as a player, but he's not as electric as a DeAndre Swift. But Jamal Williams will get his. At least I hope so, because I picked him up in a couple fantasy leagues that I'm going to be leaning on him. But yeah, other than that, I don't see that much success. I think the Lions, they should be able to score maybe 2+ touchdowns against the defense, but I think they end up kicking themselves in the butt, and they end up, turning over the ball, 2 to 3 times tomorrow. I think, and especially the Vikings got to win a normal game, right? All their games they've won or lost have been like within 7 points. I think this is the first game we see especially because the Vikings got to, they got to keep every win to stack up to try to get into that wild card in the NFC. So I think I think the Vikings actually do come out and handle their business. They win like a 31-17 win tomorrow. Moving on to the next game, this is another one that may be quick, guys. We got the Giants heading down to Miami to face the Dolphins. And the reason why I say it may be quick is just all the injuries that the Giants are dealing with, especially on the offensive side of the ball. These 4 players are out for the New York. Trent Harris with an ankle injury, Adoree Jackson with a quad, Caden Smith with a knee, and Daniel Jones with a neck. So it will be, what's that guy's name? Mike Glennon. I was drawing a blank. Daniel Jones is out with a neck, and then like the longest neck in the NFL, Mike Glennon is going to be starting for him. So that kind of that really threw me off for a second. And then continuing with the report, so Mike Glennon's the starting quarterback for New York, and then Kadarius Toney is doubtful with an oblique and quad injury, and then these three players are questionable: Colin Gillespie with a calf, John Ross with an illness, and Kyle Rudolph with his ankle injury. So not only Daniel Jones is out, but there's a few skill position players that are going to be missing as well. And then on the Dolphins side, these three players are doubtful: Trill Williams with a hamstring, Philip Lindsay with an ankle, Adam Shaheen with a knee. And then these two players are questionable: Brandon Jones with his ankle and elbow injury, and then Jalen Phillips with a hip. So yeah, with this game, guys, like I said, I think it's going to be probably going to be an easy win for the Miami Dolphins, unless that Miami offense struggles. So, Tua's been playing really good football as of late. Him and Jalen Waddle have established that connection that they had at Alabama, and that has blossomed as the season has gone along. For Miami, and Miami's kind of on a hot streak. Their offense is moving the ball, and they're playing efficiently. They're not turning the ball over as often, and their defense is just completely balling out. So I think the Dolphins, they are going against a New York defense, which has kind of gotten better in the secondary. So it's not an easy walkover defense by no means. So Tua is going to have to play efficiently. He's going to have to take his shots to Jalen Waddle, keep Mike Gesicki involved. And as long as they play efficient football, I think what they're going to be able to do is allow their defense to put themselves in favorable position. Because with Mike Glennon being the quarterback, I really don't have any expectations for this Giants offense. So they're going to be able to dial up the pressure, get some blitz packages on Glennon. He's basically a statue at the quarterback position. And then if they can get some pressure on him, maybe Xavier Howard or Javon Holland, one of that rookie safety who's really good at getting his hands on the ball. Maybe one of those guys can get a pick six or something like that. So I don't really see the Giants offense moving the ball often. So if that Dolphins defense can force a deep punt, if they could force when I say deep punt, back towards the end zone, not like them punting the ball deep, forcing, really basically putting the Dolphins offense in really good field position to put up points. So I think the Dolphins handle their business. Maybe they don't put up a lot of points because the Giants defense is kind of playing some good football as of late. They win like a 24 to 17 win. Maybe the Giants do keep it close. I don't know. I can see that. 24 to 17. Just because I kind of do like how the Giants defense has been playing over the last few weeks. And then let's just keep it moving. We got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers heading up to Atlanta to face the Falcons. On the Bucs side, before I get into the injury report, I'm sure most people have heard about this, but Antonio Brown and Mike Edwards are suspended for the next 3 games because they gave fake vaccine cards. So they're suspended for 3 games from what I understand. Both players are now fully vaccinated, so it's a whole nother conundrum I don't want to get into. So let's just keep this moving into the injury report. These 2 players are out. Jalen Darden is out with a concussion, and Jordan Whitehead is out with his calf injury. So that's what's notable about this. So Jordan Whitehead's the starting strong safety. He's really good at laying people out. He will come up and lay a hit. Well, with that being said, normally in this situation, Mike Edwards would be replacing him. So they are going to be down to their third starting strong safety, their third stringer. So that's something of note. But luckily, they are facing an offense which doesn't really scare much people outside of Cordero Patterson with how he's playing this season. So we'll finish out this report, though. Jamel Dean's questionable with a shoulder. Ali Marpet is questionable with the abdomen. And Devin White is questionable with his quadricep. And the Falcons are actually relatively healthy. Jonathan Buller is the only player that has an injury designation heading into the week. He's out with an ankle injury. So, so we're going ahead with this. I think the Bucs are, their offense is starting to kind of get back things on track. They were able to actually establish the run last week with Leonard Fournette against a good rushing defense against the Colts. They're going against the Falcons, who have struggled on defense. So I think they're going to be able to move the ball on the ground with Leonard Fournette and Ronald Jones. And then that's just going to open up the play action, and that's going to open up the passing attack for Mike Evans, Chris Godwin to take advantage of. Of course, Rob Gronkowski is going to get his. And this, Tom Brady has a history of playing pretty well against the Falcons. I talked about that in my start-sit video, which came out on Wednesday. Go back and watch that if you guys have not checked it out yet. But yeah, so I think the offense is going to have a good game. They should be able to get up 3 to 4 touchdowns against this Atlanta defense. And you flip sides of the ball, right? So like the Bucs defense is really good against the run, but the Falcons really don't have a rushing or a true rushing attack. So I think what the Bucs will do is they're going to sell out. Don't let Cordero Patterson beat you. Don't let him go off. I know when they played earlier this season, Cordero had I think 2 or 3 touchdowns. I know at least 2 touchdowns in that game against Tampa Bay, and made it somewhat interesting before the Bucs went and closed it out. But I think what they'll do is make sure bottle up Cordero Patterson. Kyle Pitts will get his here and there, but other than that, there's not much to be fearful of. That Atlanta offensive line struggles at times to protect Matt Ryan. So Shaq Barrett, JPP, Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, those guys are going to be able to eat and come off the edge and get some pressure on Matt Ryan. I think Tampa Bay handles their business. I think they win like a 35-21 type of win tomorrow against the Falcons. Moving on to this next game, we got the Philadelphia Eagles heading out to New York to face the Jets. As far as the injury report for Philadelphia, Jordan Howard is out with a knee injury. And then this is the one, well, I'll say this really quick. Boston Scott is questionable with illness, and then Jalen Hurts is questionable with his ankle. So it sounds like Jalen's going to play, but he's going to be really hampered by his ankle. So, excuse me, guys, losing my voice there. All right, so let me start that again. He's hampered by his ankle. So from what I've understood, like he's going to play, but he's not going to have his normal mobility, for the quarterback reads, for the RPOs, for him to scramble and pick up first downs with his legs. So we'll have to see if that element of his game is going to be completely taken out. But they might be relying on a Miles Sanders, and a Boston Scott, a Kenneth Gainwell. They're going to probably be relying on those guys to be, take advantage of the weak rushing defense of New York. Now, before I forget, let me go ahead and get into the Jets injury report. Speaking of probably struggling to stop the run, they are going to be missing one of their top D tackles in Sheldon Rankins. He's doubtful with a knee. Trayvon Wesco's doubtful with his ankle, and these guys are questionable. Corey Davis with the groin, Lorenzo Fatakasi with the back, John Franklin Myers with the hip, Morgan Moses with the knee, and Quincy Williams, who's one of their top linebackers, is questionable with the calf. So going back to what I was saying is they're probably going to have to lean on the backfield, right? Like Jalen's not going to be able to rush as much, so then maybe that does allow the Jets to kind of game plan for that. But you never want to like game plan for a quarterback that you think's going to be like not 100% running the ball, and then all of a sudden they kind of tricked you, and all of a sudden Jalen is fine and he's running all over the place. So they had to always be ready for Jalen to take off. Who knows, he might be able to get his ankle fine enough where he is comfortable and running around like he normally is. But I do think what they're going to do is they're going to lean on Miles Sanders. He's going to have himself a big game. I did mention that again. Go back to Start Sits video. I think this is the opportunity for Miles Sanders to hit his ceiling for this season. And if they're getting the rushing attack going, that will allow the RPO to open up. That will allow the play action to open up, and that will allow Devontae Smith to go off and Dallas Goedert to go off. I still think even with a hampered Jalen Hurts, their offense should be able to get that 3+ touchdown range on the day. And then with the Jets, man, like there's just nothing to nothing that's promising, right? Like Michael Carter was their promising thing on the offensive side of the ball, and then now he is on IR. So I really don't trust their rushing attack with what they got going on right now, especially Morgan Moses is questionable. We're still waiting on Mekhi Becton to return. I don't believe he's getting activated this week. I think he's probably another week away. So with that being said, like there's nothing promising from the rushing game, and then Zach Wilson is just going through some serious rookie growing pains at the moment, and I think that defensive front of Philadelphia is going to be able to get some pressure, bottle up the run, And then as long as maybe a Darius Slay and them don't allow Zach to beat you over the top a couple times, I think they're going to be able to keep the Jets offense in check. So with that being said, yeah, I do think Philadelphia ends up handling their business. I think because of Jalen's injury, this game could be close. I think the Philadelphia ends up winning though like a 28-21 type of win. Now, if Jalen does, I will say this. I'll put a bow on this. I think that, like I said, I'm picking the Eagles. But man, I mean, I know Gardner Minshew's the backup. He's a very capable backup. But if all of a sudden Jalen gets ruled out anytime between now and tomorrow's game, maybe I kind of start to think the Jets maybe could win. Check my Twitter. I always put out my final picks on my Twitter about around 10 a.m. Eastern. If you see that, if you rely on me for any bets or for game picks, I still think I'll pick the Eagles with Gardner Minshew, but maybe I lean towards the Jets if Jalen is out of the lineup. So check my Twitter around 10 a.m. when I put out my game picks. So, but as of right now, I'm pretty leaning towards the Eagles. But after losing last week to the Giants, you just never know, right? But yeah, let me just go ahead and move into this next matchup. We got the Cardinals traveling out to Chicago to face the Bears. As far as the injury report on the Cardinals, James Wiggins is out with a knee, and then these four players are questionable. Justin Pugh with a calf, DeAndre Hopkins with a hamstring, Kyler Murray with an ankle, and then Byron Murphy with a foot. Now, I know people are like me, like I own Kyler Murray, not own Kyler Murray. I hate, I hate using that term too. I manage Kyler Murray in a couple fantasy leagues. It sounded like he's going to be back, and then Cliff Kingsbury said yesterday that him and Hopkins are game time decisions. Now, I had a lot of time on my hands last night, so I was looking into it. It seems like most people are pretty confident that Kyler and DeAndre are going to play. So I'm going to go through this preview like both of them are playing, but I will say this. If you guys are fantasy football managers of those players, I would have a backup plan just in case they don't play. And then on the Chicago side, these four players are out. Mario Edwards with ribs, Marquise Goodwin with a foot and ribs, Akeem Hicks with an ankle, and then Damian Williams with his calf. And then these two players are questionable. Justin Fields with a ribs injury, Allen Robinson with his hamstring, and Roquan Smith is questionable with a hamstring. So there are a number of notable players out for Chicago. So I will go ahead and tell you this. I'm going to pick the Cardinals to win this game. And I'll say this too. If Kyler can't go, I'm still going to pick the Cardinals to win this game. So let's just go ahead and dive into this. Kyler or not, this Bears defense, they're not playing with Khalil Mack. Akeem Hicks is out. Roquan Smith is questionable with a hamstring injury, and the hamstring injuries you can tweak on any given moment. So if Roquan ends up getting rolled out, dude, James Conner is going to have himself a day on the ground. That passing attack is going to light up the Bears defense. I think even if you take DeAndre out, it's just Kyler and his weapons. If it's AJ Green, Christian Kirk, Rondale Moore, I think the Cardinals' offense is going to blow up. And I think Kyler, like I said, I think Kyler plays. I think DeAndre Hopkins plays. I think this is a matchup where they're going to score 30-plus points on the offense, and they're going to remind people like, yeah, don't forget how explosive that we can be on the offense when we have our full arsenal to attack you on any given Sunday. And I think they're going to remind people of that offense that we were seeing at the beginning of the year. The record's still great, but it seems like it still seems like people are kind of like iffy on the Cardinals, right? Being a legit team. And I think this is an opportunity that people can remind them the offense of their ceiling, as long as they all play, right? But like I said, even if it's Colt McCoy and company, I think they can move the ball against that defense, especially with how many people will be missing on the Chicago side of the ball. And you flip sides of the ball. I mean, it's the Andy Dalton show with David Montgomery, an not even all right, maybe an okay offensive line. And Darnell Mooney. All right, yeah, so that you guys know where I'm going with this. Yeah, it's probably going to be a rough day for the Chicago offense. I don't think this is an offense that's built to go toe-to-toe with a Arizona offense. So I think that's going to allow like a Chandler Jones to get back and get some sacks tomorrow. I think Tevin Jenkins, the first round pick for Chicago, I believe he's supposed to start and get activated today. All right, well, good luck, fella, going against in your first game, coming off a long-term injury against Chandler Jones. He's going to struggle, right? So there's going to be sacks, there's going to be potential turnovers. So I think the Arizona defense is going to have themselves a good day tomorrow, and the Cardinals win like I said they're going to score a lot of points, right? So let's say they win like a 35-17 win tomorrow. Apparently, Cody thinks there's going to be a lot of points scored tomorrow and a lot of blowouts so far. So, but I'll tell you what, this definitely would be a game. I'm going to think a lot of points I could be scored, but this is definitely a game I don't think it's going to be a blowout. This is the game that they should have flexed to Sunday night, not the Denver and KC game. This is just the game they flexed this game, I believe, last week. I don't understand why they would not flex this game to the future quarterback stars of the AFC, and you don't get them on Sunday Night Football, and you choose Teddy Bridgewater against Patrick Mahomes. I get Patrick Mahomes, but why the freaking Broncos? Okay? I don't get this at all. Like, I'm sorry. I get that Kansas City is going to sell people. I get that Denver has a good, large fan base, but come on, NFL. Why are we not getting Joe Burrow versus freaking Justin Herbert on Sunday Night Football with both teams that are going to be trying to gun for a playoff spot? Okay, got that off my chest. All right, so let me go into this final 1 p.m. matchup. We got the Chargers against the Bengals. This game is in Cincinnati. Joe Burrow, the number 1 pick of last year's draft, against Justin Herbert, who was the 3rd quarterback in that draft class, selected at the number 6 spot to the Chargers. Why is that not on Sunday Night Football, guys? Again, let me go ahead and get into this because I keep on going on that rant. Anyways, Chargers injury report, relatively short. 2 players in their secondary are ruled out. Alohi Gilman with a quadricep and Asante Samuel Jr. with a concussion. The Bengals, they got some notable injuries that guys are questionable, but really quick, these 4 players are doubtful. None of them really have an effect in the outcome of the game, in my opinion, though. Chris Evans with an ankle, Khalid Kareem with an illness, Auden Tate with a calf, and Mike Thomas with an illness. Now, these are the 2 ones to watch. Trey Hopkins is questionable with his ankle injury, as well as Riley Reif with his ankle. So, the Bengals offensive line, they have gelled and they have played a lot better than what most people had thought they would this year. But if these 2 players get ruled out, or if they re-aggravate these injuries and they have to come out of the game, that's where this Bengals offensive line can start struggling again, and Joe Burrow is once again running for his life. So that is something to monitor, especially when you're going against like a Joey Bosa, tomorrow. So that could be where this game is affected, is if their offensive line cannot protect against Joey Bosa, and they got Linval Joseph, who's not really a pass rusher, but that guy, he's a big body presence in the middle of the defense, where Trey Hopkins plays center. So that could even affect the rushing attack with Joe Mixon. But with that being said, the Chargers are a defense where you can attack the middle of their defense. I've talked about this on my streamable my start sits, streamable defenses, whatever episode I talked about it. But basically, you can run the ball, right? So I think this is going to be a big game for Joe Mixon. They're going to work the middle of the field, right, in the passing attack. So CJ Uzomah, their tight end, don't be surprised if he has a big game. Don't be surprised if Tyler Boyd has a good big game. Now, they don't give up. For terms of fantasy, I'm not trying to cross my shows over. I try to keep this a strictly football show. But, in terms of fantasy, they usually do a good job at not letting fantasy wide receivers go off against them. But if there's one guy that maybe it could be Tyler Boyd, because he works the slot. So I think CJ Uzomah, Tyler Boyd are going to be able to work the middle of the defense. And I think Joe Burrow and the Bengals are going to be able to move the ball effectively against the Chargers defense. And then what they need to do is, they have to make sure they're punching that ball into the end zone and not settling for field goals, because that Chargers offense can go off on any given Sunday. So they have to make sure they're converting those drives into touchdowns and then just playing effective football. And then, like I said, how this game could be flipped upside down for the Bengals offense is if Riley Reif is ruled out. I don't like that, because then what that's going to allow is they're going to be able to put Joey Bosa against the backup right tackle, and that's going to allow him to go off and get pressure on Joe Burrow, which could totally flip this game upside down. And then flipping sides of the ball, what happened last week against the Chargers offense is so every other week. Like one week Justin Herbert is lighting up the world. He's balling out, and then one week this season he's you get a good defensive minded guy like Vic Fangio, and he's giving him all types of problems, and he's throwing a couple interceptions. So we never know what we're going to get out of this Chargers offense. Now they are going against a defense, which is kind of like this Bengals defense is kind of like the same thing, right? One week they're shutting down the opposing offense, they're not allowing any much of a rushing attack, and they're keeping the passing attack in check. And then the next week, they're letting Mike White blow up on them, right? And that Jets the offense blow up on them. So what defense are we going to get out of the Bengals? So that's where I think this could be very interesting. Is can they maybe limit the passing attack, or are they going to allow this Chargers offense, like I mentioned, to blow up against them, where you need the Bengals offense to keep playing catch up? I'm kind of leaning towards a barn burner shootout between both teams. I think Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert are going to trade touchdown for touchdown throughout most of the game. This is going to come down to who is playing their best in the fourth quarter, maybe who can force a turnover in the fourth quarter, who has the ball last in the fourth quarter. Man, like I said, this is one of those coin flip matchups, right? I could flip a coin. You tell me the Chargers win tomorrow. I see it happening. I flip a coin. You tell me the Bengals are going to win tomorrow. I see it happening. Man, I'm going to go with the home team here. This is an East Coast team traveling. A West Coast team traveling out to play into the 1 p.m. slot time. You guys have heard me talk about that. Usually I mention this at the beginning of my preview. So I could see the Chargers coming off slow because of the start time. Bengals jumping out to an early big lead. Chargers are going to storm back at some point, tie it up. It's going to be in the fourth quarter. I'm going to say Joe Burrow, though, gets things back on track in the fourth quarter. He leads his team into a game-winning touchdown drive. They kick a field goal at the end of the game. They win like a 27-24 win for Cincinnati tomorrow. And that, like I mentioned, that is the last 1 p.m. game. I'm moving into the 4 p.m. games. The first game I'll be talking about is the Jaguars are traveling out to the Rams. These two players one player is out for the Jaguars with Shaquille Griffin with a concussion, and then James Robinson is questionable with his heel and knee injury. And then on the Rams side, Buddy Howell is out with a thigh, and then these four players are questionable. OBJ with his hip, but they're pretty adamant that OBJ is going to play. Darrell Henderson is questionable with his thigh injury. David Long Jr. with an illness, and Rob Happenstein with a foot. Yeah, this one will be pretty quick. I mean, normally it should be pretty quick, but obviously there's a lot of questions with the Rams. They are on a 3-game losing streak. It seems like this team has lost their identity. The defense hasn't been playing really great. Where's Aaron Donald been as of late? Maybe he's probably getting double team and triple team, so he's not showing up in the stats, but usually he can still overcome that, right? So with that being said, this is a get right type of matchup for LA, right? They're going against the Jaguars, who, their defense has shown some good things at times, but their offense has been an ugly mess. Their offensive wide receivers are not helping out Trevor Lawrence at all. They dropped way too many balls. I'm pretty sure Trevor Lawrence has the most dropped passes by his wide receivers in the entire NFL. I know he's at least first or second. Him and another quarterback keep on switching every week, and I think he is, but either way, he's in the top 2, right? So everybody thinks Trevor Lawrence is having a bad year, but you go flip on the tape, and the amount of drop passes he has dealt with, it would improve his number slightly. He still has a lot of things to work on, but he's not getting any help, to say the least. So again, this is like a get right type of matchup. I think Aaron Donald's going to blow up the middle of that defense. He's going to get pressure on Trevor Lawrence, and that's going to lead to rookie mistakes. This is a Jalen Ramsey revenge game. Now, I know it's a completely different coaching staff, a completely different general manager regime, but it's still his former team, right? So he's going to be trying his best to get his hands on an interception. And I think they just caused the Jaguars to struggle on offense. It's going to be a very inconsistent day by the Jaguars offense. Some drives are driving, it results in turnovers, and most drives are punting. I really don't see any consistency out of the Jaguars offense tomorrow. And like I said, that defense for the Jaguars, they can be stout against the run at times. They can get some pressure, but I think this is a game where Matthew Stafford gets back on track. They'll try to get the running game going, but I think this is a game where him and Cooper Kupp are connecting often. I think Van Jefferson has himself a big game, and then assuming OBJ comes in and plays, he'll show out at times throughout the day. I think Stafford goes over 300 yards and gets 3 touchdowns tomorrow. I think the Rams, like I said, it's a get right matchup. They handle their business against Jacksonville at home as well, so they win like a 31-14 win tomorrow. And now this is another matchup that I think it's been a coin flip matchup, guys. I really don't know who I'm going to pick. I got to figure that out, obviously. We got the Washington football team heading to Las Vegas to face the Raiders, and both teams are dealing with injuries that are notable, right? So on the football team side, these 4 players are out. Landon Collins with a foot, J.D. McKissick with a concussion, Wes Schweitzer with an ankle, and Benjamin St. Juste with a concussion. And then these 4 players are questionable. Tyler Larson with a knee, Curtis Samuel with a groin, Ricky Seals-Jones with a hip, and then Eric Flowers with his foot injury. And then going on the Las Vegas side, these 2 players are out. Carl Nassib with his knee, Patrick Onwuasor with a hamstring, and then Darren Waller is doubtful with his back and knee. And then these guys are questionable. Deshaun Jackson with a calf, Nick Kwiatkowski with an ankle, Keyshawn Nixon with an ankle, and then Josh Jacobs with his ankle injury. So, yeah, both like I said, both teams are dealing with injuries. Where do I want to start? So, like the Raiders' offense, obviously, like they finally got Deshaun Jackson going, which has allowed their deep attack to go back to what they were doing prior when they had Henry Ruggs this season. But now that he's questionable with the calf injury, that definitely scares you, right? Because they're already missing Darren Waller. Deshaun's questionable with the calf, which is a calf injury you think you could easily re-aggravate at any point of the game. And then Josh Jacobs himself is dealing with an ankle injury. Now, they are going against the Washington football team defense, which, they've been playing a lot better, even though they are missing Montez Sweat and they're missing Chase Young. But they're going to be without Landon Collins. Benjamin St. Juste has showed some promise as a rookie. He's out of this matchup. So I think LA's offense, even if they're without Waller, they got a guy named Foster Moreau, who's a really good backup tight end. He can fill in nicely for Darren Waller. He's produced in the past when Waller's been out of the lineup. So I think he's going to be able to fill in nicely where they don't really... I mean, you're going to miss a Darren Waller, but I think Moreau should do a nice enough job where the offense can move the ball. Assuming Jacobs, he normally will battle through his injuries. Assuming he plays, you can run the ball against this defense on the outside edges. And then what you can do is you can just pick apart their secondary, which is missing a lot of people right now. So I think they're going to be able to move the ball. And then as long as they can punch that ball in the end zone, they can definitely take control of this matchup at some point. Then you flip sides of the ball, Taylor Heineke, man, I've always kind of like been harsh on this dude, but at the same time, he leads his team to victories. He's I've said this before, he's like a Milky Way Brett Favre. Like, he's not the greatest candy bar in the world, but he's solid if you ever need him. So I think he's gotten a little bit better. Now again, like they're going against this defense, which it's been hit and miss, but like with him, he's going to be missing McKissick, who's been a vital role in the passing attack. We'll see if Curtis Samuel can play. He's questionable. It seems like that guy's always hurt. But the thing with me is their offensive line is banged up. So I think there's going to be times where the Raiders are going to be able to get pressure on him and try to create turnovers, especially with how Max Crosby and Yannick Ngakoue are playing. So I think this offense is going to be hit and miss. I think there will be at times where Antonio Gibson is getting his, as well as Terry McLaurin. But then I think there's going to be times they're going to have to settle and punt. Man, I think this is going to be a really close game. And more I think about it, I don't think the offenses are going to score that many points in this game. I think both offenses are going to be missing vital pieces that are going to hamper them. Washington more on their offensive line. I just don't think they'll have any continuity going there where the Raiders can take advantage of that. And then on the Raiders offense, missing Waller. We'll have to see if Deshaun even gets activated. So same thing with Josh Jacobs. So there's just like injuries that are going to like expose their offenses at times in this game. So again, this is a coin flip matchup. I can see either team winning. You guys know what I normally do, right? So normally when I could see either team winning, and if I don't feel comfortable with either, like I felt comfortable, right, picking the Bengals. And I don't necessarily view Burrow as I'm not trying to get in that debate. What am I doing? Anyways, going back to what I was saying, normally you guys know when I'm like a coin flip of a matchup, if I really can't comfortably say a team, I'll try to go, who do I think the better quarterback is? And everybody knows I am comfortably hating on Derek Carr quite often. There are things I don't like about his game. But with that being said, I like Derek Carr a lot better than Taylor Heineke. This is a home game in Las Vegas as well. So I think the Raiders squeak out a win. I think they win a 20-17 win. They win on a last-second field goal. I mean, but if, like I said, if you tell me the Washington football team wins, I can believe that as well. But I'm gonna go with the Raiders here. They're coming off that big win against the Cowboys on Thanksgiving. They have had a longer rest. They've been off since. That's actually one thing I didn't think about. The Raiders have been off since the Thanksgiving. The football team had to play on Monday night. There you go. Longer rest. I'm picking the Raiders 20-17 tomorrow. And then I am moving into the next 4 p.m. game. We got the old classic AFC North rivalry. The Baltimore Ravens are heading to Pittsburgh to face the Steelers. And then let's go ahead and get to the injury report. Now, once again, the Ravens have a long injury report where I don't want to trust them, but they proved me otherwise against the Browns last week. So what do I do? But yeah, really quick, going to this injury report. Doubtful, Miles Boykin with a finger. These number of players are questionable for Baltimore. Anthony Everett with a shoulder and ankle, Nick Boyle with a knee, Patrick McCarry with an ankle, Patrick Queen with ribs, Patrick Ricard with a foot and thigh, Jimmy Smith with a neck, Chris Westry with a thigh, Tavon Young with an illness, Jalen Ferguson with an illness, Marlon Humphrey with an illness, and Adafe Oye with a shoulder. And then on the Steelers side, Joe Hayden is out with a foot injury, and Isaiah Buggs is out with his ankle injury. So the Steelers are relatively healthier than the Ravens, but I thought the same thing last week. When the Browns faced the Ravens, I felt pretty comfortable picking the Browns because the Browns were a lot healthier than the Ravens. I don't know why I keep on doing this. The Ravens keep on proving me elsewise. Even though, Lamar did throw those 4 interceptions. I'm not trying to rant about a bet I lost anymore. So, like I said, last week was a rough week for me in my picks and bets last week. By far the worst week of the year. But anyways, let me get into this matchup. So yeah, the Steelers defense, you can run the ball against them. They've been giving up a lot of rushing yards over the last few weeks. So with that being said, I think it's going to be a heavy Lamar Jackson with Devontae Freeman, Latavius Murray. They're going to try to expose them on the ground, try to utilize their rushing attack, which they have always done well. And then that should open up things for Mark Andrews, Marquise Brown, and Rashad Bateman in that passing attack. If there's one thing you can point out, right, is that the Ravens are relatively healthy on their offensive side of the ball. Like, obviously, they're missing all those backs that got hurt early in the season. But other than that, this is a pretty healthy team on the offensive side of the ball. So I think they're going to be able to move the ball against the Steelers defense and score 3+ touchdowns against them. Now, you flip sides of the ball. Now, this is where things can get interesting, right? The Ravens defense has been very hit and miss this season. There's been games they play like the typical Ravens defense, and there has been games where you can just light them up through the air. But then you got Big Ben, man. Big Ben, his arm is falling off every single week. So I can't trust him by just talking about it. But let me go into why they could win. If the Steelers defense can play at home and do Steelers defense football, right, and they can limit the touchdowns that are scored by the Ravens. I think the Ravens move the ball, but if they can keep them out of the end zone, all they need to do is have Big Ben to have a classic Big Ben game. He's feeding the ball to Pat Freiermuth. He's feeding the ball to Chase Claypool. He's feeding the ball to Deontay Johnson. Get Najee Harris involved in the screen game. And then they're able to take advantage of the not only the kind of weak secondary of the Baltimore Ravens, but look at all these guys are on the injury report. Anthony Everett, Patrick Queen, Jimmy Smith, Tavon Young, Jalen Ferguson, Marlon Humphrey. Now they're dealing with the illness. Are they going to be 100%? Are they going to be not sick tomorrow? So I could see them moving the ball and making this game interesting and putting up touchdowns. I do believe, most people don't think this, but I do believe the Steelers will have a chance to win. This is actually something I've been thinking all week. They're at home. It's a classic AFC North rivalry game. There's been all this outside noise that the Steelers are dead. Mike Tomlin's going to have his first losing season ever. When that stuff happens, typically teams do the opposite of what people think is going to happen. Man, I'm going to kick myself in the ass for not picking the Steelers. I know I am, because I'm telling you guys, I think they're going to somehow win, but I don't trust it. I can't. Based on what I've seen on tape over the last month from Big Ben, I can't trust it. I would rather trust Lamar Jackson and that offense over the Steelers offense. But it will be a close game. I will say this. I think the Steelers will have a shot to win it in the end, but the Ravens find a way to get the job done. They win like a 24-20 win. All right, let me get this moving. I am kind of getting along. Well, we are getting more teams off bye week, so my episodes are going to be a lot longer than they have been over the last month and a half since the bye week started. But yeah, I want to just go into this last 4 p.m. game. We got the 49ers traveling up to Seattle to face the Seahawks. Taking a look at the injury report, the Niners are pretty banged up. Drake Greenlaw is out with the groin, as well as Deebo Samuel with the groin. Trey Sermon with an ankle, and Maurice Hurst with his calf. Fred Warner is doubtful with his hamstring, so they're going to be missing their 2 top linebackers this week. That's not good. And then Marcel Harris is questionable with a concussion. And then on the Seattle side, Damian Lewis is doubtful with an elbow. Alex Collins is questionable with an abdomen, as well as Rashad Penny with a hamstring and Travis Homer with the calf. They have 3 running backs that are questionable heading into next week, or heading into tomorrow. So that makes 100% sense why they did sign Adrian Peterson this week. So that means most of those guys probably won't even be playing tomorrow, if I'm guessing. With that being said, dude, Seattle offense is ugly, isn't it? Like what was that stat they showed? They've had like the lowest time of possession in like NFL history. Their offensive line can't protect the ball. Russell Wilson has looked the worst that I've ever seen Russell Wilson look like. They have no rushing attack that you can respect. I don't know why they're avoiding DK Metcalf. Why are you not getting your playmaker more targets? You can manufacture targets for him. Tyler Lockett still is Tyler Lockett. I don't really think he's been a problem, but I don't know what the issue is, but it's just an ugly offense. Now, they are going against a defense which has been playing a lot better over the last few weeks, but like I said, Warner's doubtful. Drake Greenlaw is out. That's their 2 top linebackers. So maybe Gerald Everett, and that can take advantage of that middle of that defense, and that's where they can find some things. But listen, I can't trust the Seattle's offense until they prove me out. Elsewise, I just can't trust them. I think they're going to struggle just based on how they've been looking. And I know Pete Carroll has a strong history of beating the 49ers, but I think it's going to catch up to him in this game. The Seattle Seahawks did beat San Francisco in San Francisco earlier in this season, so they definitely need to, split that series. And then same thing, San Francisco right now, they're in the wild card spot, so they're going to want to lock that up. So I think their defense will do enough to keep Seattle in check, but I do think maybe those linebacker injuries catch up to them. I could still see the Seahawks putting together 2 to 3 touchdown drives, because I still believe in Russell Wilson at the end of the day, and maybe this is the game he gets his offense back on track. Now, you flip sides of the ball, that offense is humming right now with Elijah Mitchell at the running back position. Jimmy Garoppolo is playing efficient football. He's not turning the ball over. He's not trying to play hero ball, and he's just getting the ball done and delivering the ball to his wide receivers. You can run the ball against the Seattle defense, so I think Elijah Mitchell is going to have a strong game. They're just going to lean on him, and that's going to open up the play action passes to George Kittle. Brandon Ayuk's going to be leaned on heavily in this matchup, so maybe a Kyle Juszczyk touchdown gets involved. He'll probably be more involved as well. So I think their offense, with how they're playing, with how Kyle Shanahan is dialing up the plays right now, I think that just overcomes the injuries to their defense, and they put up 3 to 4 scoring drives throughout the game. I think the 49ers handle their business like a 28 to 21 win tomorrow. And then I'm going to go ahead and move into the Sunday night matchup that I wish wasn't the Sunday night matchup that I complained about earlier. We got Denver Broncos heading to KC to face the Chiefs. Injury report on Denver side: Melvin Gordon is doubtful with a shoulder and hip, and then these number of players are questionable. Dalton Reisner with the back, Shelby Harris with an ankle, Quinn Meinerz with a knee, Bobby Massey with an ankle. So they have 3 players. Well, actually, hold on. Garrett Bowles with an ankle. That's 4 players on their offensive line that are questionable heading into this matchup. Not great, Bob. Nate Harrison is questionable with a hip, and then Jonathan Cooper with his neck injury. And then the Chiefs on their side, Rashad Fenton is out with a knee, as well as Lucas Niang with his ribs, and then Clyde Edwards-Helaire is questionable with his illness. So obviously, Denver, they've been playing really good football as of late, especially on their defensive side of the ball. They got that rushing attack going, and they're going to have to lean on that rushing attack if they want to upset the Chiefs in KC. Melvin Gordon's out, so this is the Javonte Williams show. So can that rookie running back completely take over this game and keep Patrick Mahomes on the sideline? We will have to see. He's going to have a little tougher of an outing because his offensive line is either going to be missing a piece or two, or they're going to be playing less than 100% because there's 4 of their guys are entering this matchup questionable. So we'll have to see how that unfolds. Teddy Bridgewater, can he not just be a game manager? Because I know the Broncos defense, I'll talk about that in a second, can maybe keep the Kansas City offense in check, but at any given Sunday, especially off a bye week, that Chiefs offense can be deadly. So can he utilize his weapons? Tim Patrick, Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, can they keep up in a shootout? That's where I think things get ugly for Denver. If the Chiefs can jump out to like a 2-score lead in the second quarter, and that Broncos offense has to switch from being the run-heavy offense to a pass-heavy offense, I think that's where you see like Chris Jones and Frank Clark blowing up the pocket and getting sacks. I think that's when you see Teddy try to force a ball deep down the field, and Tyrann Mathieu gets his hands on an interception. That's where I think things get ugly for Denver. So if they're going to win this game, they have to lean heavily on Javonte Williams. Teddy just has to play efficient football, keep their offense on the field, keep clock control, and turn those drives into touchdowns. And you flip sides of the ball, the Chiefs offense before their bye week was starting to get themselves figured out. And, I talked about this before. Andy Reid is undefeated. I think he has 1 or 2 losses coming off a bye week. So even though the Denver defense is coming off that great game against the LA Chargers offense, they better be ready for this game, because I think Patrick Mahomes is about to have himself a day. I do think they're going to utilize Travis Kelce to work against the middle of that defense against Denver. Maybe, the Denver defense bracket coverage is Tyreek Hill and keeps him out of it. But I think that allows McCole Hardman to take him deep at least 1 or 2 times in this game. And I think, they're just going to be able to efficiently move the football, take what's given to them. And I just think they're going to convert a lot of drives into touchdowns tomorrow night. I really do. I think the Kansas City offense is going to have a blow-up spot, put pressure on the Broncos offense. The Broncos offense will fall apart in the third quarter, turn the ball over, and then the Kansas City just walks away with a win. I think they're going to win a 35 to 24 win tomorrow night. And then moving on to this is a huge matchup. You got the somehow out of nowhere AFC East leading New England Patriots traveling up to Buffalo, who has completely fell apart in the middle of the season, to face the Bills. But let's take a quick look at these injury reports. Again, these are the Monday games. These players aren't final or anything. These are just practice reports as of Friday. For the New England Patriots, these following players were limited: David Andrews with a shoulder, Christian Baltimore with a knee, Jawan Bentley with ribs, Brandon Bolden with a knee, Trent Brown with a calf, Nick Folk with a knee, Dante Hightower with an ankle, and Gunnar Olszewski with his ankle. And on the Bills side, these three players were limited yesterday. Reggie Gilliam with an ankle, Star Lutulele with an illness, and Matt Milano with his shoulder injury. So yeah, this is a huge game. Obviously, the Bills, they got to get this win. Their plans of winning the AFC East is starting to fall out of their reach, and a loss here will really kind of put a damper on that. This is a home game for Buffalo, so I expect the crowd to be loud. They have all day on Monday to smash tables and drink as much alcohol as they can contain safely. Be healthy about it. But yeah, I think, let's see, where do I want to start? Yeah, let's start with the Bills offense, right? So the Bills offense, they look like they got things back on track against that New Orleans defense, like I said, which is pretty respectable. But they are going against a New England defense which has been playing lights out this year. It's going to be in Buffalo, nighttime weather. Is it going to be snowing? I'm not sure. I should have looked at the Buffalo weather report for Monday. But with that being said, I think just being comfortable in your home stadium is going to allow Josh Allen to have a good game. I do think this Bills offense is going to be able to move the ball against the Patriots defense, but this is definitely one of those games I think it's going to come down to, can they convert those drives that they get into the red zone into touchdowns? I think Josh is going to be able to do that 2 or 3 times on Monday night, and I think that's going to maybe make the difference in this game. You flip sides of the ball, and that Patriots offense, it's just like, it's been nothing special. It's just Mac Jones is just doing what Bill Belichick wants out of his quarterback. Efficient football, take the shots when you have them, and let's just run the damn ball. So with that being said, the Bills defense has one of the better defenses in the league. Now, they are missing Tre'Davious White going forward. So we're going to have to see how this secondary can hold up against, passing offenses. But this is not a passing offense. So with that being said, I think the Bills, if their linebackers and defensive front can keep Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson in check, and they force Mac Jones to throw the ball, I think that's where this difference can come down to. And let me say this too. The Bills' goal should not only obviously be to shut down the offense in the first quarter, but if Josh Allen and that Bills offense can get those 2 touchdowns, they can go up to like a 14-0 lead to start the game, and that can put more pressure on Mac Jones. That's what I'm looking for. Like, here's how I view Mac Jones. Like, I was definitely one of the people that were like, he's just a vanilla quarterback. Well, he's doing some good things. He's really impressed me this year. But the one thing I'm waiting for on Mac Jones, can he keep up with the Josh Allen? Can he keep up with the Patrick Mahomes? Those quarterbacks that can light up the NFL. Because listen, I wouldn't say he's been getting bailed out, but he's been getting a lot of help from his defense. There's going to be a game, especially when we get to the playoffs, that his defense is not going to be able to stop the opposing quarterback, whether it's like I said, a Patrick Mahomes, a Josh Allen, a top echelon offense quarterback in the AFC. If that happens on Monday night where the Bills get up to a big lead, can Mac Jones put this game on the back of his shoulder and his arm and put up points to match the opposing offense? That's what I'm waiting for. Maybe he can get it done. We have not seen that, so I think that's what's going to happen in this game. Is I think with it being a home game for Buffalo, I think at some point the Buffalo's offense is going to open up the game. Maybe it's not in the first quarter, maybe it's not in the second quarter, maybe it's in the third quarter. They jump out to a 2-score lead where Mac Jones had to start throwing the ball often. I think that's where you can get a Jerry Hughes, a Greg Rousseau, and Ed Oliver to result some pressure on Mac Jones. He's going to make a mistake, and somebody's going to get a turnover, and that's going to be the difference in the game. Yes, I am going ahead and pick Buffalo. I think they're going to get things to make things more interesting in the AFC by beating the Patriots. I think they win I think it's going to be low scoring though. I think it's going to be like a 20. Nah, that's not really low scoring. Let's go with a 24-17 win. I think what happens is like a 10-10 game. They jump up to a 24-10 lead. and then, maybe Mac leads one scoring drive, and then as the next drive, he turns the ball over. How about that? 24-17 win for Buffalo on Monday night. So yeah, that's my video, guys. I went a little over an hour, but I will say this: like, this is next week's the last week of the bye week, so those last like 3 or 4 episodes, they're probably gonna be a lot longer than a lot normal. And not next week, but a fair warning to you guys. I believe, what is it, December 18th? That week is like the first games where they're going to be Saturday games, and it's back-to-back Saturday games because Christmas is on Saturday, and the Colts play on back-to-back Saturday games. That's why I'm very aware of this right now. So just a fair warning. I'm going to be kind of mixing up my schedule over the next week. Next week, it will be my normal, typical content creation schedule. You'll be getting my weekly preview on Saturday, but then it's the following week. What I'm going to do is there's 2 Saturday games. I'm going to record like a special episode for those 2 Saturday games, like that Thursday. And then I'm going to do my normal weekly preview on that Saturday for the rest of the games. And then the next week's Christmas, right? So I'm off from my day job that Thursday. So I'm actually going to, and I don't expect really many people to watch my stuff Christmas weekend. I want to get it out earlier. I actually want to enjoy my Christmas weekend as well. So I'm going to record my weekly preview on the 23rd, the morning of Thursday, I believe. It could change between now and then. That's what I'm thinking. I just want to make you guys aware. And there might be some changes throughout the end of the season as far as when I get my weekly previews out. So I just want to make people aware of that. I am trying to think ahead on my content creation schedule. With that being said, guys, I'm going to get out of here. If you like this video, as always, hit that like button. If you are a new time watcher, you really enjoyed this episode, please hit the subscribe button. I want to start getting that up. We're at 31 right now, guys. Let's get it up to 40. Let's try to maybe get, that would be awesome. I know it's on short time, but if we can maybe get to 50 by the end of this year, that would be awesome. So subscribe if you haven't. Go tell a friend to check me out. I'm going to head out of here, get this edited and uploaded for you guys. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the weekend. Hit me up if you have any questions about football, fantasy related or regular football. I'll talk to you guys later. You enjoy the rest of your weekend. Peace out.